apparently we have a stage 2 fascism problem. This, according to historian Robert Paxton, he's not a lefty or a righty, he's a historian. And he says the Metropolitan Republican Club's decision to invite the far-right Proud Boys to an event last week has crossed a dangerous line that puts America one step closer to embracing fascism. He said skinheads, for example, have become the functional equivalent of Hitler's SA and Mussolini's squadristi. And he said if important elements of the conservative elite begin to cultivate or even tolerate them as weapons against some internal enemies, such as immigrants or liberals, we are approaching stage 2 of fascism. The founder of the Proud Boys celebrated, he went to New York and acted out the assassination back in 1960 of the leader of the Japanese Socialist Party. He was doing a political debate on TV, and this young man came up and stabbed him and killed him on live television. And that is what these right-wingers acted out for the Republicans in New York. Something weird going on here. Is it time to admit that we have a serious right-wing, death cult problem in the United States? You know, whether it's Heather Heyer being murdered in Charlottesville during a right-wing march, or whether it's Dylan Roof murdering a number of people in the school. I mean, this goes all the way back to Tim McVeigh. Left-wing violence has pretty much not happened in the United States since the Weather Underground went away in 69, 70, 71. But right-wing violence is exploding, literally hundreds of examples of it over the last 20 years. On the line with us is Dave Workman. He is the senior editor of the Second Amendment Foundation. SAF.org is the website. And you can tweet him at, is that HandGN? What? I can't quite read this. Dave, what's your Twitter handle?
It's HANDGNR.
GNR. What's GNR?
Well, check it out for a second, Tom.
Hand gunner? Okay, I got it.
Now you're cooking.
Okay, so Dave, what am I missing here?
Well, I think you're missing a lot. Frankly, I was listening to your comments about how left-wing violence has been non-existent. Apparently, you haven't been paying attention to what's going on in Portland, Oregon.
You're talking about the left-winger who got his skull fractured?
No, I'm talking about the way that the Antifa people seem to take over the streets.
You're talking about the Proud Boys who had a sniper position. This was just revealed yesterday. It wasn't actually, it was the Patriot Prayer Group, the other right-wing hate group here in Portland. They literally were setting up a sniper position on the top of the carport. I don't remember any left-wingers doing that.
I don't know that that's actually accurate.
It's in the news today.
You're talking about something that I'm not aware of.
Our chief of police, Ted Wheeler, was talking about it yesterday. Our mayor.
Into a confrontation, and that's not going to end well for anybody. It doesn't matter whose politics we're talking about. And if you want to pursue this, it looks to me as though the extremes on both sides seem to be dominating the news and dominating the conversation.
The extremes on the right, though, seem to be killing people. Over 100. We have, Dave, we have, over 150 murders. We have more people, according to the FBI, and I just printed this out. I don't have it in front of me, but according to the FBI, now this is back in 2000, I think it was 2012. The FBI report indicated that roughly twice as many Americans have been murdered by right-wing assassins, essentially, by right-wingers, since 1990. Roughly twice as many, if you exclude 9/11, than have been murdered by Muslims or any other kind of terrorist. The major form of terrorism happening in the United States is right-wing terrorism, whether it's the 2018 murder of Blaise Berman, the 2018 murder of Michonne Cooper Williams, the 2017 University of Maryland stabbing, the 2017 car attack, that killed Heather Heyer, the 2017 Portland train attack, the 2017 stabbing of Timothy Kaufman. I mean, I've got a list here. It would take me an hour to read the damn list. These are all right-wingers, many of them using guns, by the way. We are 5% of the world, 4% of the world's population. We got 50% of the world's civilian guns in civilian hands, which, of course, exacerbates the situation. What do you think we should do about this?
If somebody commits a crime with a firearm, I don't care where they are politically, they ought to be prosecuted for that.
Well, there's a consensus about that, and that's what we do.
All these people that have been allegedly assassinated by right-wing extremists. Let's talk about all the people that get killed in Chicago every year.
These are not political killings, A, and B. A, those are not political killings, which is what we're talking about. So you can throw out straw men all day long, but it's not going to work. And B, the actual murder rate in Chicago, the violence is actually down. But that's neither here nor there. I'm talking about politically motivated violence. We have a right-wing terrorism problem in the United States. It is being fueled by right-wing hate radio and Fox News, and it's being approved of apparently by groups like yours, the Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.org. I don't get it, Dave.
Hold it, Tom. Wait a minute. Now that's not true, and you know it. The Second Amendment Foundation, the NRA, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep Members, none of those organizations condone the murder of another human being.
Then why are you debating this with me?
Excuse me?
What's your solution? If as part of the right, what would your solution be to the problem that the right seems to have, that their people keep going out there and killing people?
Well, I'm not part of the right. I'm a journalist. I just cover this stuff, Tom. You want a solution? I have provided you one early on. Prosecute people who commit crimes.
We're not doing that. Every one of these people that I just listed, who is engaged in violence on behalf of a right-wing political cause, was, to the best of my knowledge, prosecuted. I don't see that as an issue, so we're doing that.
No, that is an issue. What you seem to be intent on blaming a whole bunch of people out there for the crimes committed by a handful of nuts.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that when you have, essentially violent rhetoric, when you have othering rhetoric, when you have, somebody like Donald Trump running around saying that Barack Obama couldn't be a U.S. citizen because he's black, essentially.
Well, you mean
he
like Maxine Waters telling her people at a rally to go out and harass members of the Trump administration?
Yeah, go after the black woman. I don't see that Maxine Waters has encouraged anybody to violence.
Don't pull a race card on me. I'm going after a Democrat who said something.
No, this is Donald Trump's favorite thing is to pick on women and particularly, and it's a two for him when it's a black woman.
Be the one that.
Maxine Waters is not stirring up left-wing violence. Nobody has stabbed anybody or shot anybody or put snipers on a roof because of anything that Maxine Waters did or say. This is not about Maxine Waters. I'm just, asking out loud, Dave, is there any way that we could agree that there's or is this just intrinsic? Is this just the nature of right-wing ideology, that it is essentially authoritarian and paternalistic or patriarchal, and as a consequence of that, violence typically comes along with it? Is that the deal?
No, I don't think so.
Then why is it happening?
You think it is doesn't make it true.
Well, I'm asking you, why is it happening? Because if we could figure out why it's happening, we could do something about it.
Why do you think it's happening?
I think it's happening because right-wing ideology tends to be authoritarian. It tends to be top-down. It tends to be, Heil Hitler. It tends to be Sir, yes, sir. And that kind of an ideology typically justifies violence far more easily than left-wing ideology. I'm forgetting his name, the professor from Berkeley. He said basically that the conservative meme of how society should be structured is as an authoritarian family with a strict father, whereas the liberal meme of how society should be structured is as a family that functions, cooperatively and collaboratively. And I see that difference in the politics. I see that difference in the behavior, and it concerns me that strong father figure means, he's got a gun, he's willing to kill somebody.
Well, you mentioned the Heil Hitler. Hitler was he started the Nazi Party, I guess, the National Socialist Party. That's hardly right-wing. And I'm astounded.
You don't think that the Nazis were the right-wingers of their day, or for that matter, that they're the right-wingers of today? I mean, they're rising again in Germany. They call themselves the right, the alt-right, and the far-right.
Well, they can call themselves whatever they want to. It's certainly not the behavior pattern that they seem to be exhibiting. And again, I bring you back to Portland, Oregon. The news footage that I've seen are these masked hooligans running people, trying to keep them from driving down the street, accosting them, terrorizing them, if you want to use that term. I don't see.
Well, what's the appropriate response then to the threat of violence?
Well, the appropriate response in a civilized society is to either arrest these people, and of course, if the police aren't there, you have to defend yourself, I suppose.
Yeah.
Are you against self-defense?
No, I'm not. I am concerned that we, as a talk show host, I'm also concerned. The only talk show host in America who has been assassinated in my lifetime was Dave. I think his name was Dave Berg. Alan Berg,
yeah,
that's right.
That.
Alan Berg out of Colorado.
Yeah, Alan Berg,
yeah, back in the 70s, and he was killed by a couple of skinheads because he'd been going off on the radio about right-wing violence, and so they came in and waited for him. When he walked out of the studio, they shot him.
And were they arrested and prosecuted?
They were, but that's a little late for Alan Berg.
Well, I know that, but say you're out walking to your car or walking to the bus stop or however you get around, and you're accosted by a bunch of people wearing masks. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a very good question, and I don't even want to get into exploring that with regard to me personally. Thank you very much.
You don't.
And I'm assuming you didn't mean that as a threat.
No, absolutely not. I'm just it's a question that I have to ask a lot of people, and sure. People ask me, "What are you going to do?" Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm guessing your answer is carry a concealed weapon. Dave Workman, the Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.org is the website, and the Twitter handle is handgnr. Hey, Dave, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So do we have, is this fascism or am I being alarmist? Do we have a right-wing violence problem in this country? What should we do about it if we do?